Big Human Dead.
Yes.
I am Buddy Black. With me, as always, is my good friend Rob Ayers.
Always, ever present.
And we haven't mentioned this, and I feel like in a really long time. Rob and I know each other because we did a comic book together.
Oh, yeah, we haven't mentioned Waterloo in quite a while.
We haven't mentioned Waterloo in a long time. But yeah, we did a comic book together called The Story on the Road to Waterloo.
Yeah.
I wrote it based on one of my records, and Rob drawed it.
I drawed the hell out of it.
That's how you pronounce that, right? Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's international.
Yeah. So we use this show called Big Human Dead.
Big Human Dead.
To sort of as an excuse to sort of speak to each other on a weekly basis, because we're busy gooses.
Yeah,
we're busy gooses.
I'm busy drawing. You're busy rockering.
Yeah, I do all sorts of things over here. Ay. So, what's going on? How are you?
I'm doing all right.
That's good.
Yeah, I've just been chilling like a villain. Yeah, finishing up. Actually, speaking of Waterloo, I'm finishing up some more pages. I'm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, way
Very
far
nice.
into having the whole shebang.
Oh, really?
Not like the super whole shebang, but.
How is that?
Yeah, there's like the shebang, and then there's like
just
the
just
super
half
whole
of
shebang.
the whole shebang.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
It's,
I don't want to amp
half
it up
of
too
the
much,
shebang.
but it's I'm pretty far along.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least with
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
But yeah, multitaskers. I think that's. And you're a musician. I'm writing, drawing. Speaking of not multitasking, we've. I should just leave the segues to you.
I just handed that to you.
I know.
And it just went right over. I wrote Waterloo,
Yes.
and speaking of writing,
Yeah.
this
Big segue dead.
Yeah. This is. Oh, that was the worst.
You're welcome.
This is sort of a conversation that Rob and I have sort of kicked around a few times. It's just sort of come up almost as sort of like a footnote or even just like a minor discussion that Rob and I have had from time to time. We thought it would be interesting anyways to talk about on our show.
Yeah.
I think we should talk about H.P. Lovecraft because he's huge.
Yeah.
Like he's for some reason this dude just won't stop influencing literally everyone.
No,
So
it's true. And
I think that's pretty amazing.
he's really he's just he's ever present in the horror genre.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. And he's like ridiculously influential, yet hella racist.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
just out of control racist.
Totally. And the dude, like, he had some issues. I mean, he even growing up, his whole life is a big issue. It's just a issue. His life is an issue. And he just had this super great penchant for writing. And he never stopped writing. He was always writing letters and stuff like that. But he didn't actually get published until he was, 30 or 31? Or
pretty old. Like, given how long he had been writing for, like, he didn't get published for quite some time. Yeah. And actually, I think the majority of his work was published posthumously, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. I think like the Dunwich Horror and stuff like that, the really famous stuff, it was published pretty late in the game, but he was still alive. But he died pretty young too, though, yeah? I mean, like in his mid-40s or something?
Pretty young, yeah.
Yeah. I think you might know more about this dude than I do. I know of him. I know a few things about him. I've read. I had a book of his, one of the huge, complete...
Like the greatest hits?
Exactly, yeah. And it had a really cool cover and back cover painted by, I almost said Scott Weiland. I think it was Scott Weiland.
Yeah,
it was painted from some of his songs.
I would love to see him draw a book cover.
Why? Yeah. Wait, Waylon Jennings? No.
I think I know what the guy you're talking about. Didn't he? He did like the concept art and the backgrounds and all that stuff from like Blade Runner and Alien and stuff like that.
No, not. H.I. Giger did the alien stuff, but for Blade Runner, possibly. He's got a W name. His last name.
I have a greatest hits. I have a greatest hits book as well, and it's all the way over there, not connected to my computer. So like I can't just go and get it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I think I know what book.
It sounds like he's super well known in the fantasy art world. He did a lot of these, and he did the cover for this H.P. Lovecraft book. And I would just stare at the cover. The cover was super creepy. And then I finally cracked open the book and read a whole bunch of stories, and to be honest, like they all kind of started to blend together because I think I read too many of them at the same time.
It's hard to binge read Lovecraft because every single one of his characters has the same voice. And it doesn't matter. And like his most famous story, arguably his most famous story, anyways, the Call of Cthulhu.
Oh yeah,
I think follows. It only follows. No, it follows three different characters. There's the professor, there's the detective, and then I think we get the diary of the ship captain or the sailor or whoever it is.
Right, the everyman.
All of them speak like they are a professor.
Yeah, right.
And it gets to be a little much after.
Yeah, he has
after a couple of hours. Yeah,
his favorite archetypes, and they all see a color that's indescribable. You know, space that's unmeasurable, and which is all well and good. I'm not bagging on the guy, but it's true. Like you can't binge read him, and I did. And I have my few favorites, and we'll get into the favorite writings later. But I would say, for me personally, I tend to enjoy the movies that were made from his writings more than his actual writings. And I don't know how many listeners we just lost because of those words. Yeah, but. It's just the truth, and I don't know if it's because in the movies, you know, since it's a social medium based on money and stuff like that, they have to streamline some of the racism out and make it a little more friendly, or cut out a little more of the xenophobia, or replace the obvious analogs he wrote with monsters and creepy weird stuff.
Yeah,
maybe that's it. I'm not sure, but I really dig Lovecraft movies. Not all of them, obviously, because there's like you said, there's so many things influenced by his work.
Oh yeah, that
it's the horror movie ratio. You get 10 things you have to force yourself to suffer through, and then you get that one movie that makes it all worth it. And it's the same for him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Stuart Gordon did. Yeah.
He's
like the top 5. Well, basically, I don't know. Arguably, all of the really good Lovecraft adaptations, and there are some others. There are some others that are out there. There was one called Cthulhu, just Cthulhu. Yeah, it was done by a different director. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Was it a biopic?
No, it wasn't a biopic. It was
biopic of Cthulhu, like a VH1 behind the music kind of thing.
That would have been pretty bitchin'. No, but it was. I was working at the video store at that time, and Cthulhu came in. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be wicked. But it was in the softcore gay porno section.
Right on.
Which that's like I have nothing. People watch that. Yeah. I don't care. Like, do whatever you want to do. It's okay.
My contention with that is that it would be softcore. I mean, wouldn't you really? For a Cthulhu.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go for it, just go for it. But yeah, no, it was Tori Spelling was in it, and it was in the softcore gay porno section, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to see this.
Yeah,
like not because I'm homophobic or anything, but I think by electing not to watch softcore gay porno, I don't know if that makes me homophobic. I think that just makes me.
Just makes you a man with discerning taste.
I'm a discerning heterosexual. Yes. That's. Oh man, I'm gonna add that to my LinkedIn page.
I mean, Tori, what is she doing? Her dad was Aaron Spelling. She doesn't have to do anything ever.
She doesn't. She doesn't have to do anything if she doesn't want to. Anyways.
Yeah.
So I I think, you know what I did? I think I did rent it, and I think I put it on for like 5 minutes, and then afterwards I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
No, you know what? I'm just not gonna watch this. This is not like we're in like a bedroom of like a 2-bedroom apartment, and I'm like, I don't remember this ever happening in the Call of Cthulhu. Not gonna do this.
Were you really like watching for how closely they follow the text, or what?
Well, it's like if it was an adaptation of the Call of Cthulhu, I would watch it,
Yeah.
and I don't care how many boners I see.
Right.
Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'll watch. Like, if it's an adaptation, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I put it on. I'm like, this is not an adaptation.
This isn't faithful to the source material at all, assholes.
Yeah, and there was speaking of Cthulhu too, there was another Call of Cthulhu made by sorry, hang on a sec. I completely forgot to look this up. I forgot about it until right now. I'm just looking it up. It was a feature-length silent film.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is it new or is it old?
2005. So
Okay.
it was a feature-length silent film in that it was like an hour,
Okay.
like kind of most silent films were back at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I think it was a bunch of like college kids or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Was it good?
It was pretty cool.
All right.
I mean, it's tough watching a silent film on your computer.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But no, it was pretty cool. It was actually, and they did try very hard to be as honest to the source material as they possibly could, especially with their budget.
Right.
But no, it was super cool. It was a really cool movie.
Right on.
Yeah.
That reminds me of one that I saw, which is it's pretty tight, and it was also made by a bunch of young upstarts, and it's an adaptation of The Color Out of Space.
Okay.
Am I saying the title of that one right? Yeah, The Color Out of Space. I always want to say The Color of Outer Space, but it's the color Out of Space, and it's a German production. It's really good. I'm not sure if it's on YouTube. I know the trailer's on YouTube, but I want to say I saw the whole thing online somewhere. Anyway, it's really good, and if you're into reading some subtitles, and they did it all black and white. They really. You can tell like the people that made this movie really cared about making as good a movie as they could with what they had, and it turned out pretty sharp. And the only kind of distracting thing is the main character. He's supposed to be an American, and he, gets on the trail of finding out where this, or investigating the whole bad thing that's turning all the vegetables and crops bad and stuff like that. So he follows this trail to a forest in Germany or a Franco kind of thing, and just because since it's a German production, they had to find some kind of caveat to bring the whole story to Germany.
Yeah.
And so the guy who's playing the American is actually just a young German guy, and he's trying so hard and honorably to do an American accent, and he fails by only the slightest fraction. Just enough to make it a little weird. But it's incredible because
that sounds adorable.
It is.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
It's really an adorable effort because it's. Like the chasm between German and English is so great that I can't imagine how hard it was for him to sound halfway natural while stifling just every bit of natural voice, and he almost did it.
That's poor guy. But that sounds.
Yeah.
I have to check that out. out. The other one, and it's not. This doesn't really count. But I guess there have been no shortages of people from like varying degrees of professionalism making adaptations of the music of Eric Zahn.
I don't know that story. I've heard of it, but I don't know the what that one's about.
This guy stays in this apartment in Paris, and the story begins where like he's often gone back and looked for that street again, but he can't find it.
Oh, okay, I know that. Yeah, okay, I know.
Yeah,
this one.
it's a super cool story, and there's a guy who lives above him who plays his cello every night.
Okay,
and he basically just plays nonsense on his cello, but it sounds really cool to him, I guess. So he goes upstairs to like hang out with him, and basically, spoiler alert, you know. Just I don't even know what happens. Like,
that's great. Spoiler alert. I have no fucking idea what just happened.
The wind comes in and whatever, and you know Eric's on dies, and
all right.
The guy leaves and he can't find it again. Like it's a super cool, super creepy story.
Cool.
And I guess there's no shortage of like really shitty YouTube movies just trying really hard to adapt.
That particular story.
This fucking story. And they just, most of them really suck, which is like kind of disappointing because I really don't feel like this would be that hard to adapt.
Right.
But
do you think they're going after that one because it's in just kind of one location or what?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I mean, there's plenty that.
Yeah.
There's plenty where old HP stuck one everyman student / professor into a room and just had him sit in bed with a notebook and be like, I can't imagine the measurements in my room, and what's this color? It's indescribable. And then I mean, how hard you can make 100 YouTube videos about that and not worry about Edward Zahn or
I think the point that we have inadvertently put forward is that we're given that I mentioned a fucking 47-minute silent film and like a bevy of fucking YouTube videos, there are a lot of really good H.P. Lovecraft stories out there.
There are. You dropped
like movies.
Yeah, you dropped Stuart Gordon's name pretty quick, and like
for me, it's tough to even talk about Lovecraft without also mentioning Stuart Gordon.
No, it's true.
At the same time,
I really like his movies more than the texts. For me.
Yeah, and I really love him as a director too.
Yeah,
like he's
super fun and he can be gross, but it's not. I don't know. Like he just has he just knows exactly what I want to see in in a horror movie.
Yeah,
it can be kind of campy, but then it can get kind of serious with the characterization gets serious, but the movie itself stays kind of fun.
It never becomes too much one way or another.
Yeah.
Like it never becomes too serious, and it never becomes too hokey.
Right.
Like it really, really walks this really cool line, and yeah, it's fantastic. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the first horror movies I think I ever really saw was The Reanimator.
Cool.
And that movie's out of control. Amazing.
It's really the best.
So fantastic.
Yeah. Jeffrey Combs is perfect, and he's perfect.
He is perfect. He is perfect in literally every way.
Yes.
And he was also Jeffrey Combs was also in From Beyond as well, which was a really weird Lovecraft adaptation.
Yeah,
but,
I think From Beyond might
cool.
be my favorite Lovecraft adaptation in a movie.
Really?
I love Reanimator. I think Reanimator is one of my favorite Stuart Gordon movies. But From Beyond, I think, is my favorite H.P. Lovecraft adaptation. And it's funny because From Beyond I think it's only like a 4-page short story. It's one of Lovecraft's shortest stories, I think.
Yeah.
And there's actually not much there, and so maybe that's why it's one of my favorites, because Stuart just took this idea of, seeing interdimensional creatures via sound machine or whatnot, and then just went insane with it.
He took a hell of a lot of liberties with this story.
There's a couple liberties he took with this one.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Rocky Horror Picture Show meets like Lovecraft mythology. Like it's a really weird movie. It's super cool though.
Totally.
Like it's so much fun.
Yeah. I think I like it maybe I like it just as much as Reanimator. It's really like a companion piece because it's the whole Jeffrey Combs thing. Like on Reanimator, he's Herbert West, and he's just like this. He's like if he wasn't trying to be so altruistic in a way, he would be a maniacal supervillain. He's got the capacity for that. He's pure brain.
Yeah.
But then in From Beyond, he's almost like an action hero in a sense. Like he's jumping around, he jumps into the water and the slime, and he fights the giant worm monster, and then he starts murdering the hell out of people when his pineal gland goes and pops out of his head, and he's really like, it's crazy. He's on par with your boy Barry Salmon, aka Ken Faree. As far as toughness goes, it's really insane to think that Jeffrey Combs is going to stand toe to toe with Ken Faree in a movie, and he pulls it off. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, sorry. From Beyond is really fantastic. I was going to say that Bride of the Reanimator.
Yes, I loved it. I was going to ask you, which is your favorite Reanimator movie?
You know what? I have a huge respect for sequels that start almost immediately after.
Yeah. It's so satisfying.
The first movie. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need the whole origin story thing all over again.
Totally.
Like, if I'm seeing the second one, please try to take for granted that I've seen the first one.
Yeah. Totally.
But yeah, no, Bride of the Reanimator is really, really great. The Reanimator is just fantastic. Mm-hmm. Like Reanimator 1 is, I gotta give me props to that guy, and I promise to never say that again. How did you like Dagon?
It was okay.
Really? Just okay?
I think so. I think maybe I wasn't in the right mood for it when I saw it, and I think I wasn't ready for the weird CGI credit sequence in the beginning. And
I kind of feel, as I was going to say, I kind of feel like this movie kind of reminded me of when your favorite band from the 90s releases a new record.
Okay.
And it was just like, oh, hey, it's everything that I love. It's just kind of a little bit, it's a little bit modern.
Yeah.
But
that's what it was.
It's also pretty old.
I think it was a little
at the
too
same
modern.
Time, and I don't think I didn't mind. I thought the CGI sequence at the beginning was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought it was really, really cool.
Right on.
I think it really just felt like a 1997 full moon movie.
Right. Maybe that was it. Like
without the nostalgia on like attached to there. It was just like, oh, it's a new movie from 1997. I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch one of those.
Yeah.
But I actually really, really liked this movie.
Okay.
A lot. Yeah.
I'll
it was
try
cool
it again.
to see Jeffrey Combs just kind of being that kind of actiony sort of hero again.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was really cool. Yeah, check it out again. It's really good.
Oh, well.
It is a really, really good movie.
And Beyond Reanimator, what do you think of this one? Yeah,
I don't know if I saw that one.
Really? It's really fun. This one's it's Jeffrey Combs again, and I feel
like a total asshole. I had no idea that there was a third one.
Yeah, it's what year? It was 2003.
Really?
Yeah. And so Herbert West is a little grizzled. And
what? I did see this one.
I think it's an interesting concept. I saw it once as well, and I remember parts of it that were kind of cool. It's something like Herbert West is kind of on lockdown, and he's having to do this stuff. He's having to do what he does, more, in a way that he's not so happy with. So it's kind of like I don't know. I was going to think of something really clever to say, and then it just kind of slipped away. But it's kind of like that.
No, you're right.
Spoiler alert. I'm not sure what I was going to say. Yeah. But it's cool. It's not quite as satisfying as 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
No, actually, no. And to say that it's not quite as satisfying, that totally makes sense, because I have absolutely seen this.
Mm-hmm.
I completely forgot that I saw it.
Exactly.
And that it even existed, which I think is probably the best review any movie can receive. But yeah, Beyond Reanimator earns that for sure. Yeah. How much did you read about the In the Mountains of Madness movie that was going on?
I was pretty excited for this one, actually.
So was I.
And then it just kind of fizzled away.
Yeah, which is really upsetting because,
I
don't know, Guillermo del Toro is one of these directors that everyone keeps saying is such a fantastic director.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I've loved all of the movies he's come out with. Like,
I think I've loved
Pan's Labyrinth was cool, but
Yeah.
you and I have talked about that before and how
Totally.
I
love the way he makes a movie look.
Yeah.
But as far as the story itself goes, I feel like it's just not quite my style. The Guillermo del Toro and or heavy Spanish influence of story. It's just it has there's very specific feel and turns to this kind of storytelling.
Right.
That just doesn't strike a chord with me so much. But I love the way it looks. Like I love the way he makes a movie look, and I think he's an incredible producer. Like he knows who to put on a project, and he knows what to promote. And so if I see his name on a project, I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
And so especially if it's a producer or if he's doing a story that I already know is probably going to be interesting, like The Mountains of Madness, then I got pretty excited.
I would have loved, and maybe it's out there, I haven't really looked for it. I would love to see if I could find the most recent screenplay they were working with before they abandoned the project.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember, but In the Mountains of Madness ends with our intrepid explorers finding this alien landing site or whatever it is. And then they just look at each other and say, like, there's no fucking way that I'm going in there.
Right.
And then they turn around and leave, and that's the end of the movie. Which... or, like, at the end of the story. And, like, I would love to see a movie like that. Where it's like, after, 2 hours, this epic quest, and they finally reach, like, the summit, and they're like, no.
Spoiler alert, I'm out of here. Spoiler alert, I left. Ciao.
Yeah, no, that would have been super cool.
Yeah.
That would have been super cool.
Totally. There's one other movie that really I do enjoy quite a bit. That's an adaptation. It's The Curse. You remember this? From it's the late 80s. I think 87 or something. And it's Will Wheaton and the young storyteller
you have to remind me who Will Wheaton is. Or are you reminding me who Will Wheaton is? No, for our listeners.
Of course we know who Will Wheaton is.
Yeah, okay.
But the young storyteller from Stand By Me and
Wesley Crusher. Just got to say Wesley Crusher.
Yeah, and Wesley Crusher.
My wife told me, maybe a year into dating, that she had a big crush on Wesley Crusher when she was a kid. And what?
Wow. That's
yeah.
grounds for reevaluation of.
It was really weird, and I still don't completely understand. I don't get that.
Like I love Will Wheaton, but I do not like Wesley Crusher.
I think Crusher was a bitch.
Yeah.
He was just a bitch
so
all over
whiny,
the place. Yeah.
Little weirdo. But like Will Wheaton, I don't know if you've ever heard or read any interviews with him or seen any other stuff he does. He's like in Stand By Me, he's good.
Yeah.
And in the Curse, he's good. And other stuff.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot of. He's still super active, kind of behind the scenes now with the whole nerd world.
Yeah.
And he's super cool.
Mm-hmm. No, he's a super cool guy. That's for sure.
Yeah. And so Will Wheaton, this is one of his movies. I think he did it right after Stand By Me, and it's Will Wheaton co-starring the great Claude Akins, and yeah, it's pretty cool. If anyone watches the trailer, it's going to look a little cheap, a little silly, but trust us, it's actually pretty tight. It's a stressful movie, and it reminds me of like the really early Wes Craven stuff.
That's super cool. Mm-hmm. I'll have to check that out. Oh God, I'm just looking at this. Yeah. Sorry, this is not a Lovecraft adaptation, but this just I'm just looking at this right now. It says, if you liked The Curse, you will also like a bunch of these movies, and one of them is Black Roses. Do you remember Black Roses?
That sounds familiar. What is that?
This like satanic metal band plays this small town, and all the kids buy records.
Yeah,
and they bring them home. And, like, as they play their records, like, their speaker comes alive and eats them and shit.
What?
And it's...
come
on. Oh, you have to see Black Roses. Oh, it's so fucking hardcore.
Black Roses.
It's excellent.
That's a little bonus for you listeners right there. You got to tune in for the H.P. Lovecraft. Stay for the...
stay for the Black Roses. But, yeah, no, and, I talked about it in a podcast early on, but Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth is a video game.
Oh yeah, I never played that one.
Basically an adaptation for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
It gets really weird, kind of in the middle.
Okay,
but it's at least the first part of the game is an adaptation of Shadow over Innsmouth, which.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, it was really cool to play a first-person shooter. That for a long time you don't get a gun, let alone a weapon.
Yeah.
And then also one where...
What are you going to use, man? Harsh language?
No, you just run away. Like, you're just running away the whole time. And then when you're jumping from, like, rooftop to rooftop, if you look down, you get vertigo, which I thought was just, like, such a cool thing. Yeah, it's a cool thing to put in a game. I thought it was really neat. But, yeah, there's... Eternal Darkness is another game that borrows heavily from Lovecraft.
Mm-hmm.
Bloodborne is another game that it's crazy Lovecraft vibe, I guess, just all over the place. And yeah, it's really weird that this dude is just like transcends cultures. He's so influential. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like in every language, there's a huge following for him. Mm-hmm. Any language that his stuff has been translated into, there's an enormous following.
Yeah. So speaking of words and language and all of that, I would like to play a little game.
Oh snap! Here we go.
And that's how you segue, by the way. So. The little game that I'd like to play is a game called Lovecraft Monster, or just random word I just made up.
Good.
All right.
Way to follow up your silky smooth segue with just a burlap title. It's all about checks and balances.
All right, so we've all played this game before. This is the classic party game. I'm going to say the name of a H.P. Lovecraft aberration.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say just some name, and you're supposed to tell me whether it's a H.P. Lovecraft, created aberration, or if it's just like some consonants and vowels I just sort of mumbled out. Okay. So let's start with let's get my spectacles on.
Yeah.
All right. So Yagni.
Yagni, that is a beloved Lovecraft creation.
That is correct.
Oh,
it's a hideous female or hermaphroditic entity of tremendous power, cousin of Cthulhu, in Hastur.
It's a cousin.
Yeah, I guess
I like
so.
the idea that like these incredible ancient gods have cousins.
Yeah, I feel like they wouldn't even really keep track of that.
Right.
You know.
Is Yagni my second cousin? Mom,
Yeah.
Oh, she's the third cousin. Okay.
We had to let her be a god because
Right.
she's my cousin.
Yeah.
You know. Okay. Next one. Borgak.
Borgak. I think Borgak is probably. I'd say that's probably like a nephew of Cthulhu.
Just made it up. Just made it up.
Really? Oh.
Just said a word.
Sounded good.
Just you know. All right. Kalut.
Kalut. That's gobbledygook.
No. And the
shit.
explanation that Wikipedia gives of Kalut is likely a gigantic larva-like horror dwelling in the nebulous realm of Cleglumenon.
Yeah.
Along with the Gaharoids. It's whatever.
Likely. I like that it starts with
but it's
likely.
Likely?
Like
it's probably, if it's anything,
Yeah.
it's this.
It's likely. There's even like a little box at the top. This article needs some cleanup.
Yeah.
If anyone can
I don't
confirm or cite the actual, origin of this god.
Yeah. I haven't read any of the books. I just admin this page for Wikipedia, and just based on the name Kalut,
right?
I'm gonna say that I don't know. It's probably
if someone could
giant larva. Yeah.
If someone has any photos or anything, can you put them in a Dropbox for me, and I'll put the citations on there for you. Thanks.
Next, Raphanasaloon.
That's a Lovecraft thing.
It is a gigantic and likely multi-armed fiend. Likely multi-armed? I feel like it is or it isn't.
Like the only thing.
Well, I guess we're all multi-armed.
Yeah, exactly.
For the most part.
To be likely multi-armed is just to have more than one, right? I guess either way, it's going to be weird.
Yeah.
I don't know which one is weirder.
Sir, did you see who attacked you?
He was like multi-armed, I think. Maybe even
likely
multi-legged.
He was multi-armed. Yeah.
He was a uni-headed, multi-eyed, multi-armed, possibly likely multi-legged creature.
All right. Well, that narrows it down. Okay. Arwasa.
You made that one up.
No, I didn't.
Wow.
A humanoid torso with tentacles instead of limbs and a short neck ending in a toothless, featureless mouth.
Okay.
Toothless feature.
Huh?
Toothless is a feature.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to. I mean, because of so much of Lovecraft's stuff was indescribable.
Yeah, he really kind of went overboard with it sometimes.
Yeah.
I think he just got lazy for the most part.
It's a pretty lazy thing to do as a writer.
Yeah. It's indescribable. Moving on.
Yeah.
Thanks, Howard.
Why even introduce the fog if you're not going to describe it?
Right.
Yeah. Bash Cameron.
Yeah, that one's gobbledygook.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Visumfoa.
I'm gonna say that one's all Howard Lovecraft.
That is correct.
I think he just challenges the reader.
Yeah,
so they feel like they accomplished something. So when they get to the part where I can't describe it, then they don't feel cheated. They feel like they still learned something.
A large anamorphous monster covered in a multiple of eyes, mouths, projections in both male and female genitalia. Covered
Wow.
in both male and female genitalia.
That's a rough deal.
As well as eyes. Yeah, man. That's...
Yeah.
I'm glad it didn't say nose.
Right. Just covered in noses?
Well, projections. No, I'm just saying, if you're covered in that much genitalia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's some funk.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get pretty ripe pretty fast.
And if you got that many eyes, I mean, I like looking at my penis, but do I want to look at my penis all day?
All over, all day?
Yeah, all over, all day?
You know, there's one dangling in the periphery of every eye.
Yeah. Man, yeah. No wonder... Was vom... Yeah, I don't care. Zolty.
Zolty? That's
Zolty.
gobbledygook. That's nonsense.
No.
You made that.
A rolling cloud of ebony darkness.
Oh.
Or a vortex of boreal cloud.
God damn it, Howard. Make up your fucking mind.
Revered by Atlantean priests of Hyborian age. So actually that's Zolty's sort of Conan-y.
Yeah, totally.
Kind of falls into that universe. Because that was an overlap that happened for some reason. I know that there were a couple of Conan stories that kind of vibed on. And the two were friends.
Yeah, he was pen pals
with
Robert E. Howard.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's just do a few more. Let's do a few more. Lukatu.
That sounds like a Lovecraft abomination.
Yes, it is. Is a titanic, planet-sized mass of entrails and intestinal organs.
That sounds like that one is good. That one sounds good.
That one
there's no likely or maybe or mostly or allegedly. That's good. I like that.
I would say, if anything, that one deserves a likely or a maybe.
Yeah.
It's like it's likely planet-sized.
Right. Who measured this guy?
Yeah. And likely covered in entrails.
Yeah.
And internal organs.
Did he go to his tailor and get measured? And they're like, "Why? You're planet-sized. I can't.
Yeah.
We don't.
I can't. We don't make pants for livers. We don't make. My suit jackets hold maximum one liver.
Right.
You have too many livers.
You have multi-liver. You're a multi-livered. You're a planet-sized thing. Like yeah.
One liver per customer. Like that's weird.
Murray is Taylor.
Yeah.
I can't
Too
help
many
you.
livers, kid.
Yeah. So hit the bricks, kid. Kick rocks. Go find yourself another Taylor.
Oh Christ.
It's Lovecraft.
Xenog and Xenog and
That's a Lovecraft thing.
No, I just straight up made that
really?
up.
Oh, you played me.
Yeah.
You played me with your stuttering.
Yeah, I know, and that's how I do it. That's how I do it.
You crafty son of a gun.
Let's do one. Itzel Capic.
Itzel Capic.
Yeah.
That's like I think I drove through that village on my way to Zagreb in Croatia. That's gobbledygook.
No. A sadistic entity trapped by the elder gods in a remote dimension of the space-time continuum, and appearing as a 4-meter tall lizard-like horror with 6 legs and a mouth filled with vicious fangs.
That might be the least scary creature I've ever heard of from his stuff.
Yeah.
Lizard man? Really? A lizard man?
4 meters tall, though. That's pretty huge.
That's true.
Yeah. You could get right in there.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be more afraid of that dude than the multi-livered planet.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, if that came into orbit and you saw it, and you had your telescope, and you're like, honey, that's a planet of entrails.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
That's likely a planet of entrails I'm looking at.
Yeah, that's probably an entire planet full of livers and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the very famous. I think my father introduced me to this game.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, that was the very famous Cthulhu or H.P. Lovecraft invented aberration, or just some word I just made up right now game.
Yeah. I first encountered that game back when I was at a Monster Mixer years and years ago.
Yeah.
With these characters, they're like I'm pretty sure you've probably read more Lovecraft than I have.
Yeah, maybe.
And like with these characters, did you ever read about these characters? I feel like a lot of these monsters are not so much described in the stories that I read. I feel like these are more like expanded universe things. Like you have the Star Wars movies, and then you have all these Star Wars novels and graphic novels and books that all these other writers took on, and it all adds to the mythology. And I kind of feel like that way about HP's monsters and elder gods. I don't remember hearing or reading about a planet of entrails.
It's really funny because, it's funny that you mentioned that because, I grew up playing the Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game, for one, and then, reading the stories and, any of the comic books and watching the movies that were, based on whatever. And, I hadn't read a lot of his stories. I just assumed that all of them were sort of about these horrific creatures and this pantheon mythology, and that
would be awesome.
Super connected, but all of the stories really aren't all that connected. I don't know. Yeah. I think Dagon is definitely mentioned in a couple of stories.
Okay.
But from what I've read and from what I understand, Cthulhu never really appears in any other of his short stories. So I guess around the time when they were putting out the first edition of the Chaosism Call of Cthulhu tabletop game, a bunch of people sort of got together and all sat down and sort of compiled the complete list of Lovecraft deities and just demigods and this mythology. So yeah, you're absolutely right. This whole mythology that he created is very much piecemeal, just taken from whatever. And then I read about this after I read and really, really enjoyed The King in Yellow.
You told me about this. I haven't read this yet.
It is totally worth reading or audiobooking or whatever. It's a collection of 6 short stories. The first 4 are all about, not all about, they all mention a different aspect of the King in Yellow and his mythology, and it's kind of this perverse madness that sort of overcomes people that start to really investigate him super hard. And Lovecraft was so impressed by the author, whose name just escapes me right now, but was so impressed by this guy. He sent him a letter, gushing over him and everything like that. And I guess there was such a connection between these two guys that the King in Yellow made his way into the Chaosism Call of Cthulhu universe.
Oh, cool.
Which is super cool. I think that's really, really neat that, the fans or whomever sort of picked up the baton anyways, felt it necessary to include a character that wasn't created by H.P. Lovecraft, but he just got the pathos so hard. I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
As far as the stories that he wrote himself, or the actual texts and short stories, I think my favorite one is actually a really short and simple one. It's called Pickman's Model.
Okay.
And this one, this was the first one that really creeped me out. And it was just the simple way that he laid it out. And there's no indescribable anything in this one. This one is actually super easy. I think it's only 9 pages.
Really?
Yeah, it's really pretty quick. Maybe it's 12, I don't know. But it's one of these short ones. And it's just this dude who, I don't remember if he's an editor or a friend of an artist. The artist is Pickman. And
is this the one that you did your graphic novel?
Yeah, I did an adaptation of this on.
I was hoping that you would mention that because you sent that to me. That was super cool.
Thank you.
Really, really awesome. Rob did an adaptation of this story, and he modernized it a little bit without making anything too weird. Like, it was really, really cool.
Right. Yeah, I tried to keep the essence of the essence of it intact. Stay faithful to the source material. No, this one was fun, and I think it's because it's very, like, he wrote it very simply, and it's just this guy who goes to find his friend, an artist named Pickman, and Pickman he's dropped off the radar, and he goes to Pickman's town. I don't know I think if he lives in a town or a city in the book, and he just has a folder full of Pickman's paintings. And they're all disturbing and weird and scary. And so he's lining up, this building in the background of this painting with a building that he sees on the horizon of the city. And he realizes, I think Pickman, he uses actual, like, real locations. And so he starts trying to triangulate where Pickman's studio might have been or where he might be based on the actual things he sees in the paintings. And he finally zeroes in on a basement. And in this basement, he finds some Pickman's stuff. He finds his easel and his paints and things like that. And in the painting, there's, I don't remember so well now. I'm only recalling my own adaptation.
You're drawing a blank.
My drawing.
On.
Zing!
You get it?
Nice one.
Yeah, there we go.
And he finds the location of Pickman's stuff, but he doesn't find Pickman himself. But he does find. He has one painting where there's like a monster, not a huge monster, but just like a humanoid creature. A fleshy humanoid creature coming out of the shadows from one area. Likely a humanoid, multi-limbed creature.
Yeah.
Coming out of the shadows, and he sees, like, it's this room, and this is the room that is painted, and so maybe he's here. But then he like realizes, but like, what if the monster, this creature, is actually real as well. And then there's something in the story that he wrote that's really clever that I just couldn't adapt in graphic novel form cleverly. And because I think I only had 9 or 10 pages to work with.
So I cut the end.
So I just, spoiler alert, I left the end out.
Spoiler alert, there's no ending.
Exactly. I wrapped it up pretty neat, and I think I did a pretty good job. But whereas Lovecraft, made some kind of clever twist, and like he has a scrap of painting and things like that, and it's all like a mind fuck, and it's pretty clever. I just killed everybody.
So it's admittedly your favorite part of the story.
Yes.
So you just didn't do it.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. There's no spoiler alert in my adaptation.
Spoiler alert. There's literally no twist. Story just ends.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I did it okay, but Lovecraft.
No, you did. It's really fantastic.
Yeah. In Lovecraft,
it's really fantastic.
There's really just like he really turns a phrase, and like I know it sounds like I'm bitching about his indescribable, blah, 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 but he really knows, like, when he's zeroed in on when he really focuses on a sentence, he really knows how to string the perfect words together.
It's like he's writing and he doesn't care whether you're reading it or not.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
When you jump on, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But when you're just like sitting there, kind of just your eyes are tired, or you're just kind of nodding. Like, he just said something that just pulls you right out, and you're like, oh, that's weird. Yeah. Like, it's really, really hard to enjoy it if you're just reading it for the sake of reading it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I'll put the story the adaptation I did on the blog.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah,
that would be super duper cool.
Yeah, I think it's not on the website of the book. I did it. It was part of an anthology book here in Vienna called Tisch 14. That's table.
We've all heard of it.
Table 14 in English.
Yeah.
Tisch 14 commonly around the world. Everyone knows it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I don't have a link for where the story is, then I'll just put the pages on the blog.
That's super cool. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Cool.
And I really like the way that you drew this one too.
Thanks.
I really like the color in it, especially really nice. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one color.
Mm-hmm.
The color of fear. It's indescribable.
It's an indescribable, color. I guess kind of like a vaguish. Yes. Like a sort of like a vaguish,
like a beige, maybe. If you squint and kind of look away real quick.
Yeah.
What's your favorite? What?
I was gonna say Call Me Pedestrian, but I really enjoy The Call of Cthulhu.
Okay.
And I love the way that the main character, like the professor character, is. He just keeps on investigating this mythology again and again, and I love the idea that when Cthulhu sent out his bloop or whatever it was, like all sorts of artists and all that shit just sort of like just went bananas. And like the more sensitive an artist you were, the more troubled of like I don't know, like the larger the nightmare you had, and the more persistent it was, and all of that.
Yeah,
I
that
really
was a cool
really
touch.
liked that. I thought that was really really cool. And I like, I like how he was able to do the the professor, and then he did the detective. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
it kind of reminded me a little bit. I mean, again, it's the same narrative voice, which is a little whatever. But well, I guess with the detective, that's not really fair, because he describes the detective's actions in like the newspaper clippings that he reads and all of that stuff. But anyways, I liked the professor kind of detective thing. I don't know, it was like very 20s for me. I thought that was super cool, and getting all the archetypes in. It was like kind of Indiana Jonesy, a little bit in that part. And then I know with the Lost at Sea sailor shit, I think it's just, I don't know. I really like whenever Lovecraft sends somebody out to sea, it's awesome. It's super cool. Yeah. But yeah, no, I really just even the format of the Call of Cthulhu and the storytelling and all of that. I just love it. I love it so much. And then the music of Eric Zahn, I really like that one as well.
I have to read that one. I have to check that one out again.
It's really cool, and it's one of those ones that's just like, it's really small and really slight. I mean he describes everything in that one, and he does it fairly well. It's a cool it's a really cool story. You should check that out. For sure.
On. I really like the ones where he's clear. Like, he tells me what he wants me to see in my mind, in my imagination. That's when I think he's at his best.
Yeah. Yeah, but there are some that he wrote that are just not all that fun.
No.
It's like, hey, I just wrote a couple of paragraphs about like a fog in space. Like, I don't want to. I don't need to read that. That's okay.
Yeah. Totally.
Just draw a picture.
Right. What do you think of the Dunwich Horror? This one also has garnered so many film and video adaptations in one way or another. Usually not called the Dunwich Horror, but it's clear that that's the basis. And I kind of like the story.
I don't know this one that well, to be honest with you.
It has all the common tropes. It's got the professor. It's got the everyman who discovers it and takes it to the professor at Miskatonic University. I think in this one, instead of a detective, there's another professor. I think there's a couple. He just swaps out, white collar jobs or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good. Like, I really like the parts where he's describing how this little farm village is affected by this, waking up and seeing these giant footprints in the ground. And I thought that was creepy, the way he did it. It's creepy that something so huge can leave such an imprint in the the actual earth and in the destroying homes and things like that, and just nobody realizing it until it's too late, or being able to do anything about it when they try to be ready for it. So it's a sense of dread.
I read that one, I think around the time I even started getting into Lovecraft, because that's one of his big ones. Yeah, I haven't read it since then, so I need to go back and read that one again for sure. I always forget about it. Mm-hmm. So we're speaking of stories and all that. Have you read the Alan Moore Necronomicon series?
No, is it good?
It's pretty cool. It's almost like it's the story of how the Necronomicon was translated from Aramaic into whatever, like a Western language. It's really neat. It's really, really cool, actually.
Cool.
It's not
it was translated into bluegrass music. Wouldn't that be? That's not bad.
That'd be pretty cool. I heard about I think it's called like rap grass or something like that, where like
that's
MCs
cool.
MCs are starting to like rap over like sort of like bluegrass inspired hip hop beats. I haven't checked any of it out, but like I really gotta look into it.
All right. Yeah, I gotta check that out too.
Yeah.
Necronomicon.
Yeah, no, it's just great. It's just really cool, and it's worth checking out, and it's quaint. The reason I thought about it is sort of quaint, the same way as Dunwich Horror and all of that. Like, it's pretty benign, and I feel like Alan Moore did a really good job.
Right on.
Sort of
he's no
trying
slouch.
to capture that. He's no slouch.
Yeah.
He's weird.
Yeah,
he's a weird kid. He's a weird kid.
There's a really good graphic. It's not a graphic novel. It's just a story arc in Planet. Did you ever read Planetary by Warren Ellis?
Oh,
and this was like it's three adventurers, and two of them live. I think they're kind of immortal, but they don't make such a big deal out of being immortal, and they just go around, revealing, or we the audience are privy to the reveal of all these mythologies and secret bits of history, and it's really clever. It's super good. I mean, Warren Ellis he's a master, and it was during a crossover with Wildstorm, The Authority, which is like a really cool like superhero analog where like Batman is Batman and Superman analogs are actually gay lovers, and the Midnighter and I think Supreme, and then it's a really cool, clever. Everything about it is clever, and in this one story arc, called Masters of the World or Chosen Race, something like that, they are dealing with these pods, these small pods that come down out of from space, and they're going to hatch, and these monsters are going to allegedly take over, and then H.P. Lovecraft is there, and he says we have to destroy these things before they hatch. They're negroid, pods, and so it's really just like Warren Ellis just saying, hey, H.P. Lovecraft, he had some really cool ideas and he influenced all of us writers, but he was also like super racist.
He was like, he was like Henry Ford would blush type racist.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, there's a science fiction, it's a horror science fiction award, who uses a bust of H.P. Lovecraft as their statuette.
Right.
And a couple of years ago, there was like a pretty enormous petition submitted to the Academy for these awards, wanting to get rid of Lovecraft as the totem
right
for this award, which
I'd say fair enough.
It's a pretty good point,
yeah,
actually.
I can get behind that. Like I think it's not mutually exclusive to like appreciate his skill, but then to also realize like maybe he shouldn't be the bust of a national award when he had this whole other thing that was it's pretty damning stuff.
Yeah, I know, and this is even something we talked about before too. But it's funny how I can, especially after Mel Gibson's like unbelievable like anti-Semitic breakdown and just everything. Like I can't watch. I detest Mel Gibson, and I can't watch anything that he does. Unless it was before 1994.
Exactly.
For some reason, I can watch the Lethal Weapon and the Mad Max movies, no problem.
Really, like
and
mine goes
doesn't
a little
bother
earlier.
me.
Like it's the exact same thing. Like we talked about. Like after Mel's meltdown, I can't watch Braveheart. I can't even watch Lethal Weapon. But I have like it's just a partition in my brain. I can watch the Mad Max movies, no problem.
Mm-hmm. And I feel so shallow.
Yeah.
I feel so very shallow.
It's really
when
there's really no logical explanation or excuse for it.
Yeah. Like I can listen to like Michael Jackson's stuff in the 80s and just love it.
Yeah.
But I can't listen to his stuff like in the 90s and onward. Like I just don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah.
And like
I think
so with Lovecraft, like even in parts of his stories where he does get like aggressively casually racist.
Yeah, where you can see like the analogous things like this clearly means that.
Like, but things were different back then. It's like, but they were a lot worse too.
Yeah.
Like, let's not.
It's true. Like that excuse never actually made sense. Like it was a different time. Yeah, it was a worse time.
Yeah,
it was a really shitty time for a lot of people.
Time. Yeah, there's no excuse for anything. Yeah. Oh, Grandpa's racist. Leave him alone. No, I don't know.
Right.
Let's stop inviting Grandpa. Like if he's that racist all over the place,
Yeah, it's true. So like I think this partition works the same for me with Lovecraft. Like the partition allows me to keep reading his stuff and do an entire podcast with you about it.
Yeah.
But it also keeps me from saying, "Oh, why not have him as the bust for an award that is presented to everyone?" Or I don't think he should be the figurehead for anything really, any kind of award in any way.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'll still read his stuff. I'm still going to read the music of Eric
Zahn,
Roberts, Eric Zahn. The music of Eric Roberts.
You must also read the music of Eric Roberts. Yeah,
that's going to be our adaptation, our YouTube feature-length YouTube video featuring, starring Eric Roberts.
I thought the music of Eric Roberts was just like an itinerary or not an itinerary, but just like a list written by Eric Roberts.
Yeah, playlist
of all of like the tapes and CDs that he owns.
That would be kind of cool.
I'll read that. I'll buy
that. Read that too.
But yeah, no, it's really strange, and I think that I'm sure that there's a word for it. I think that but it's almost like it's like I don't know. It's selective, or just selective thinking, anyways, or selective memory, I guess. When confronted with works of art that you actually legitimately enjoy, you can just sort of forget for a while that the person that created them was a piece of shit.
Right. For right or wrong, we're not saying that's okay, but it's also just the way it is.
No, and it's really weird.
It's kind of a weird bummer.
I know that we're not the only two people that experience this. Like, it's really, really strange. That would be weird.
That would be a real drag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Right, shallowness, I think, is how it makes me feel too. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I remember I got really, really into T.S. Eliot for a while, until I found out that he was like, I don't believe that he was like militantly anti-Semitic, but he was definitely anti-Semitic, like outspokenly anti-Semitic. And like the love song of Alfred J. Prufrock is possibly one of the most beautiful things ever written, ever.
Yeah.
And it's really tough for me to read that one now, which is really sad. It's you know, like that sucks. But I don't love T.S. Eliot as much as I love H.P. Lovecraft. But yet,
right.
And you know, and there, I guess that's why, you know, I am an admitted fan of H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah. All right.
Even though, and we don't want to get into it too hard, but I mean,
I don't know that I would say that I'm a fan, but I definitely respect how much he did.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I would call myself a fan.
Right
I would call myself a fan. Like I mean, it's for me anyways, like, you know, writing and well, just with my writing anyways, like it's really, really tough for me to not have copious amounts of respect for somebody who was that prolific.
Totally.
Like, I think he said, like, when he died, like years and years after he died, they published all of the letters he had ever written. And I think it was like 4 colossal volumes of just letters that he wrote. He wrote, I think it was something he wrote like 5 to 10 letters a day or something like that.
Yeah, I think I even read something like when he was super destitute after losing like all the family money or something like that, that he would actually forego eating just to pay for postage. Like he would rather buy postage and mail letters than have 3 full meals a day.
Yeah. This is a crazy goose.
Yeah.
Crazy. You know what? Big Human Dead officially declares H.P. Lovecraft a crazy goose.
Yeah. Yes.
For right or for wrong. No, and it's just anyways, and I don't want to dwell on it too much. It is just fascinating how a man, and ironic too, how a man so fearful and xenophobic, and like really ugly and like monstrously racist, was so, like, you know, globally influential, like all over the place. I think that that's really, I think that really says something. I don't know what it says, but I think that it says something.
I'm sure it says something.
It says something. Spoiler alert.
It says something.
It says something. Yeah, I just think that that's funny.
Yeah. Crazy situation he came out of. Like his dad was institutionalized when he was really young, I think, and died from being too crazy, I think was the official diagnosis. Which
happened back then. That straight up happened back then. Yeah. Which I think is just...
I'm too crazy. Oh! And then dead. And then his mom then died years later. Or she was also institutionalized, and then he was raised by all of his aunts, like a huge house full of
just
women.
A house full of ants.
Yeah, just ants,
lousy
a couple
with
spiders.
Ants. Yeah.
And, and he had one grandfather, like a father figure. His holy shit. His father figure was
I swear to God, the more German you learn, the more English you lose.
Yeah, I think so too. It's really like you push one stone in, one has to come out.
Yeah.
And his grandfather, from what I read briefly, which isn't, I don't know so much, but it seems like he's the one who kind of put old boy on the road to writing and writing weird stuff. But then once Grandpa died, then he was just like stuck in this house full of
just more ants.
Yeah, more ants.
Yeah,
and which isn't a bad
Grandpa
thing.
Grandpa died, more ants move in.
Yeah,
I don't know. Just every day seemed like another 4 or 5 ants.
Yeah, and he just seemed like a super.
I'd read
sensitive,
that story. Yeah,
I would read that too. That'd be all right.
That'd be all right. Sorry, go ahead.
That'd be like Phase 5. That'd be like the sequel to Phase 4.
Yeah.
And from what I read, like he was a super sensitive kid, and he was reciting poetry at 3 and writing it at 6, and But then, like we talked about, like he didn't actually publish anything until his 30s. And
really. It wasn't until I think it was it Weird Tales or Strange Tales?
Something like that. Yeah,
something like that.
Tales.
There were like two. At first, there was just one magazine,
mm-hmm.
and then which was Weird Tales or Strange Tales.
Yeah,
and then later on there were two magazines.
Mm-hmm.
So Lovecraft and Howard and a lot of those a lot of their contemporaries, there were really only two publications where they could make any money, but they couldn't publish shit every single month,
right?
Because it wasn't the Lovecraft magazine and it wasn't the Howard magazine,
yeah, right?
So yeah, these guys were, and sometimes they'd have stories rejected, which is super weird to me. Like you would think that if I got a magazine specifically about tentacles in space,
yeah,
and you just wrote a story about tentacles in space,
mm-hmm.
and I'm rejecting it. Who else do you got, really? Like, who else is right? Anyways.
It's weird. Yeah. It's really weird that being so sheltered,
mm-hmm.
but it also makes sense that being so sheltered would also create this xenophobia. But but also like Robert E. Howard, we could almost do, if we wanted to do like a little off base of horror, we could do an episode on Robert E. Howard too. Like he was another fearful, weird dude who created a lot of stuff that influenced the pop culture in huge ways.
I don't know if he wasn't an nth as influential as Lovecraft.
I don't know. Like he had Conan. He had what was the other ones? Like
Kull and Solomon Kane.
Uh-huh.
Red Sonja.
Yeah.
He had a pirate as well. I think I can't quite remember.
Adventurer, like a more modern adventure, not
Conan, that's right.
But,
that's right. Yeah.
John Carter, and then there was also another one.
Oh, shit. I guess you're right. I guess you know what? I guess you're right. Well, and you know what? Sorry, I take back what I said. You're absolutely right. Because spoiler alert,
mm-hmm.
like Howard did invent sort of sword and sorcery fantasy. Like he did
totally.
Absolutely. He did create that genre.
Yeah,
for sure. No, you're right. Yeah. And I would love to talk about Robert E. Howard because I don't think he was as, he certainly wasn't as racist as Lovecraft was, but he was a fucked up dude.
Yeah, he had some issues.
Super fucked up dude. Yeah. No, I would love to do maybe next episode we'll do it on Robert E. Howard.
All right.
Because you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. Spoiler alert! It's a literary duo.
Oh, how did we miss the spoiler alert? How did I miss the spoiler alert on that one? Oh, I'm disappointed in myself. But yeah, no. It's the Lovecraft thing. It's
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is fucked up how fucked up he was.
It's true.
Which I don't think you're allowed to excuse.
No, it's not an excuse by any
behavior.
means.
It's not an excuse, but maybe it's a reason, which is super fucked up.
Yeah, it clearly made just like a what's the word, like when you have a shit.
What is wrong with you?
When there's like
when this indescribable
when you have like a scientific testing area that's like moist and the bacteria, not the petri dish, but the fuck it. I don't give a shit.
Culture?
No, not a culture, but not a hotbed. Like a
breeding ground?
A breeding ground. Yeah, breeding ground. When like his history or his life situation was really a breeding ground for a fucked up person.
Yeah.
But it doesn't excuse how fucked up he was. But it's you can really see that it's a foundation for it.
Yeah. But Oh,
no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, like, just even along the same lines, like we were talking about, of that, like, selective memory, especially when it comes to things that really, really resonate with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Stephen King said that without Lovecraft, there would be no modern horror as we know it, which is interesting. Like, because I think prior to Lovecraft, anyways. We
had Poe, but even then That's pretty soft.
Poe was I don't know. It wasn't horror necessarily. It was just like it was so sad. It was awful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is, but you know, there were no monsters really, like, you know.
Yeah. That's my favorite subgenre of horror. Awful.
Yeah, just awful.
It's just awful. This is just
really sad.
Yeah. Bummer.
Really, so yeah. Whatever. But
whatever, core.
But yeah, no, it's yeah, he influenced just the shit out of pretty much the entire 20th century.
Yeah, if he had not been so afraid and fearful, would his writing had been? Would it have been as good? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole, you know, this whole creation of, I mean, I know that he did have a pretty huge hard-on for astronomy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he probably would have written about space and shit, but probably not any unknown horrors up in there, you know.
Yeah.
no multi-limbed. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's funny.
Like on the opposite scale, I know we're running long on this one, but it's on the opposite side of H.P. Lovecraft, who's full of all these fears, and it seems to have influenced and made him such a good horror writer. Mm-hmm. There's Stephen King, like you mentioned, who, you know, love him or hate him or whatever. He's super influential. I really like him. And he seems to be a guy with minimal fears. You know, like he just doesn't, in interviews or in, I don't know what you'd call him, like nonfiction, in the nonfiction that he's written, he really has a really great and solid sense of right and wrong and justice, and like no prejudices, no bigotry, no anything. Like he's really a stand-up dude. Mm-hmm. And his writing, I think he's even more prolific, and his stuff is, you know, arguably just as terrifying, and more so in a lot of cases. And so I wonder, like it actually, I don't wonder anything. It really, spoiler alert, this has no point, because it's actually a completely different life. You know, Stephen King grew up in a different situation, different time, different everything. He probably didn't get raised by a house full of ants. Yeah. And so it's really not much of a comparison, but I just think it's kind of funny.
You know what? That's not too far off. And I think they're two totally different sides of the same coin, obviously. But I think whereas Stephen King is in complete control all of the time, right? Lovecraft was not in complete control all of the time, and there's
that's it.
In a lot of his stories, there's definitely, I don't know, like almost an ethereal kind of sense of dread or fear. Mm-hmm. You know, no matter what story you're reading by Lovecraft, and maybe that's just even, I don't know. I don't want to say you're picking up on his atmosphere, but I mean, if you're writing in a vibe, if you're feeling a particular emotion when you're writing something, that can certainly affect the language that you use, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's interesting. It was an interesting, it's an interesting subject, and I'd honestly really like to hear what the listeners have to say.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you know, like what your favorite Lovecraft stories were, and
favorite Lovecraft inspired movies.
Yeah, and then also
go ahead.
Sorry, and then also, you know, your kind of selective memory when it comes to artists and art, and all that stuff, because I think that's just a really, I just love that dialogue with people, just hearing, you know. You can watch. I can watch Lethal Weapon, but you can't. Right. But we both agree that there is no way we could ever watch Braveheart.
No.
Like, just never. Not going to happen.
No, not at all.
really weird. Yeah.
But we're both going to sit down and watch Mad Max.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Thunderdome was an awesome movie, man. Like,
yeah.
Thunderdome is so fucking awesome.
I love all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's the H.P. Lovecraft. That's the skinny on H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
We did it.
That's literally all you need to know.
Yeah. It's likely everything you mostly need to know.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
All right. Well, yeah. So leave some comments in the comments section, or you can tweet at us at WaterlooGN, or send us an email at bighumandead@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And through any number of those places, you'll be able to find my website and Rob's website, and you can check out some pages from.
Go to the blog at Big Human Dead. Is it Big Human Dead WordPress, or is it Big
I don't
Human
care.
Dead?
What is it? Whatever.
It's bighumandead.wordpress.com is where you're going to find all the episodes. You're going to find all the blogs that Neil is writing, and you'll be able to find the Pickman's Model adaptation. Yeah,
and then on Rob's website as well are just some pages from Waterloo, the book that we've worked on too. So check that out as well. But anyways, that was lovely. That was a lovely conversation.
It was very.
Robert.
We crafted it very lovely.
I think we did it. I think we just did it. Yeah, we.
Zing!
Oh God! I love ending an episode on a stone cold zinger.
Yes. Spoiler alert! You've been zinged.
Yeah. All right. Good night, Rob.
Good night, buddy.